Welcome to the DL Gaming Podcast. This episode, we're going to be talking about Civilization, the series, the 7th installment, how we love it, how we hate it, our experience playing. And this episode is going to come out when Civ 7 releases for all you when you hear it. So have this up on Spotify, have this up on Apple, play the shit out of Civ and listen to us talk about our experience. Taylor asked us a listener question that I put at the top of the show. How many hours have we all collectively put into Civ? I feel like this is a decent icebreaker. Nick, how many hours?
So after I did the math of the new ones and the three that I played previously, because I played the Alpha Centauri and all that shit, it was 270 hours. Okay,
Amanda, what's your street cred?
Not that strong, but when I look at all of the games that I've played, it's under 100 hours, but probably somewhere around 60, a little over 50.
It's difficult math because, Civ 4 isn't on Steam or whatever, but I have around 500 in Civ 5, and then the rest on Steam, about 100. So I'm just penciling in an extra 150 for all the ones before that, and I get to somewhere 750, 700. So, I mean, we've played the shit out of this game collectively between the three of us. We've played
almost
the shit
1,000 hours. Yeah, 980 hours.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's so good. And I'm really excited to do this episode and talk about why is it like this for so many people, not just us. But before we do that, Amanda, what are we plugging this week?
Oh, well, we are plugging reviews on Spotify. You like this stuff? You don't like this stuff? Leave a review on Spotify. I hope you like it, though, because that helps our algorithm for sure. But yeah, you can leave them, check them out on Spotify. I love using it. It's so nice to use it, especially for this podcast. So head on over there and follow us and leave a review.
Nice. That was great from the hip. I love that. I also love when Emilio tells the story about the old lady who said 10 out of 10 service and still gave him 4 out of 5 stars. He's like, what do I have to do? I don't get it. Is the last star racist? Like, what do I have to do? Cool. So I guess I want to start off by saying, when did we know we were hooked to this game? When did we know, oh shit, this is for real. This is getting good. This is my jam. Jbeck asks a listener question. What do you think it is about Civ that has captured the hearts and minds of so many gamers that other similar games can't seem to capture? So there's other 4X games that are super addicting. Like Old World is very Civ-like. One just came out, Humankind. But dude, Civ is special. There's no fucking denying that. There's something about what they're doing here that's so fun. So anyways, Amanda, what's the history?
So to me, I kind of think I got started on just this in general by playing Settlers of Catan. And that kind of led into Civ 5. I don't know why I didn't play so many of the other ones before. I feel like I might have played a little bit of Civ 3 or 4, but not much. It's super hazy with the memory on that one. But I think where Civ really shines in comparison to a lot of other RTSs or even Catan is that it really toes the line so well between history and fantasy. There's so much lore and so much story there, and a good chunk of it accurate as well. They usually adhere pretty well to the historical, I guess, vibe of each civilization and things like that. So there is anything that you're kind of curious about, you can end up going down a deep dive of looking at that in history. But then there's a lot of room for fantasy and customization and creativity, because in a way it's your civilization and how you're expanding it. And so I think previous games have done a pretty good job of dancing that line, but I really also love the direction that Civ 7 has gone with, really shaking it up each time with its eras and its civilization and leaders. So there's a lot of freedom, yet it's historical. So they did a really good job of kind of dancing in between the two. But what about you, Nick?
For me, it's definitely what you kind of said as far as the accuracies of historical accuracies. Now, granted, Civ has had its misrepresentations. It's one of the reasons why they went to the Shawnee this year for this game, or last year and the years before that, to get as many historical references as they could possibly to be as accurate as possible. I think what it is like it's always been like the meme from like Civ, I think 1 or 2, where it's like Gandhi's niceness meter goes so nice it goes negative, and then it goes to 99 and mean, and then he starts nuking people. Like everybody remembers those characters and like remembers what like playing solo. For me, what hooked me in Civ originally was me playing with my friends. I played a little bit of Civ before that, like literally like 10 hours before my friends had it. And they were like, one of them was like, I've always wanted to play Civilization. I'm super into strategy games. I'm like, all right, let's play it. And then 2 more hopped on, and then another one hopped on. Soon enough, we were playing like 12 hours on a Saturday, and then like another 6 hours on Sunday with like 6 people. And that really fuels your like your want to play the game more. So like every Civilization after 5, because 5 was my first official game, every Civilization after 5, we've always kind of dipped our toes and played the game and things like that. Also, I apologize if I pause every now and then. I'm trying to not cough, and I'm trying to catch I'm trying to not whore all over this fucking microphone.
We have Sick Nick with us, and he's braving his sickness to join us, and that's fucking awesome. What you mentioning playing with your friends makes me realize that your hours are probably skewed more, perhaps multiplayer, and you have lots of multiplayer experience where I don't. I've only played like a handful of Civ 5 games multiplayer that I can remember. The most Civ I've played is with Rianne, just me and her landing on the same Civ map, and that is so fun. We would make sure we'd start on opposite continents so that we could both like dominate the AIs around us
as much as you could.
Yeah, and then have like the final boss battle of like planes and nukes and just like spies and all the other shit you could do in Civ. And yeah, that's I guess my fondest memories of what are you gonna say?
So what I was gonna say is that when it comes to multiplayer for me, like I play a very specific way. It's usually production and military.
Okay.
And my friends,
you and Amanda both, dude.
Yeah.
my friends know how to counter me some points, right? But most of the times, I should say most, 43% of the times I'll win out of like the 4 of us, right?
Yeah.
But they've learned to like counter me and like put sanctions on me and stuff like that. But what's really fun is what we do is we'll start doing scenarios where it's like you can't have more than 10 military units, or you can't have more than 4 cities and things like that. You can only like raise cities once you get them, when that was a feature in Civ 6 where you could destroy the city. And so like that actually changes up the game quite a bit, right? When you only have 10 units. Yeah. And you're like, I know this unit's going to die, and it takes me 3 turns to make a unit. I'm going to start building it now and then declare war. But it's always fun with those self-made rules.
Did you ever play Civ 5 had a lot of the custom scenarios that were like, here's the Civil War.
Yes.
Those were and you're right, because a lot of them involved like custom rule sets specific to like whatever the scenario was. And those were so fucking fun. I guess I'm missing those in Civ 7. At least I didn't see the option. Maybe they're not in it yet.
I think what it is, and this is in every single Civ game that I've played so far, is that they always give you the base game, because the base game in and of itself for new players is overwhelming. There's so many mechanics, there's so many features, there's so many new things, right? If you've never played a Civilization, that the little like extra dabble-do-ya is usually provided in DLC. Now, granted, old-time players don't like that because they just want all the features that the other one had and new features, right? Which you can't always do. But I guarantee you some of the things that we've seen in the past will make some sort of return in one way or another that's adapted for the new system. The way like the leaders and civilizations work now, which is very different. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know.
I have one little bit more about why I think Civ is hooked, and that's like the casualness and the depth of the game. So when I started playing with Rianne, she had never played like a grand strategy game before. By the way, I don't know, Amanda, you said RTS. I just have to throw out the correction there. There's no real time. Actually, there's no real time in this strategy. But maybe I should mention the APM later about when we played Civ 7 on the fucking timer, because I did feel like it was an RTS at that time. I was like clicking all over the screen, rushing. But anyways, it's casualness with depth. So anyone can learn. at any skill level, I think as long as you have just a really basic if you've played a board game, basically, you know kind of what's going on and you can pretty much figure it out from there. But there's layers to be excellent. Like there's so many fucking things you can specialize in, and you can go down science, you can go down production. I mean, we all know you can get a super big city if you focus on food, hanging gardens, 25 fucking population before irrigation. Like you're going to do great. And it's playing with those layers and trying out different strategies that is so fun, and like mixing and matching them. Like, yeah, I think they nailed it between casualness and depth, and also the randomness in the game. I don't know if people realize, but it's reduced based on your Civ and starting leader. So they'll always curate your starting environment, or they usually will, unless you are playing with maybe some custom rules.
Unless you're playing on the truly random, which could really fuck you.
It can really fuck you.
For example, when you're playing the Pacific Island Alliance or whatever
and
it was,
you start in the middle of
you start in the middle of land, and you're like, I fucking hate myself. What is this?
Restart. Yeah. So if you're playing single player or even multiplayer, just the game will curate a situation that you can thrive in. It won't throw you to the wolves unless you have the truly random start set, and that makes it feel awesome. And I think that's just good game development. Like, you don't want it to be truly random. You want something a little bit curated to your starting bonuses, or else you're going to feel like shit. Like, oh, I can island hop starting from turn 1. Good thing I'm in the middle of that's going to work for nobody. So yeah, I think they nailed it with that. I guess we kind of talked about this a little bit, but yeah, let's get more specific for this next bit. What did you guys like most about past Civs? And Taylor asks the question again, which Civilization game is our favorite? So yeah, Amanda, start with you.
It's funny. I kind of just remember more, or I feel like I've spent more time playing Civ 7 than Civ 5. So that's really not good. But I do remember Civ 5, like how long the games can run with friends, but they're so much fun. Like, I just feel like it doesn't even matter. The time just goes. But for me, I absolutely loved and found it so hilarious, the freedom to dominate and win with religion in, I believe it was Civ 5, but like like, it's just so funny to me that you can customize it. Like, because I definitely remember making the religion of crabs and like sending it to everybody and winning a game off of that. And it's just hilarious to me. And I've always really, oh, sorry, go ahead. Sorry,
just crabs is a popular one because they had the crabs icon. Like, I feel like I've played so many multiplayer games where there's been like multiple crabs, or like crabs and crabs 1 or crabs A or something.
Yeah. Big crabs. Yeah.
Primus crab.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's hilarious. And I've always really liked the kind of different tactics that you can use with the game of like flanking and things like that. And so I really enjoyed that, and really enjoyed kind of the depth and the story that was in Civ 5 specifically, kind of like what you were describing earlier. And I feel like they're doing a pretty decent job with that in Civ 7 as well so far, at least. I'm sure they're going to expand on it a lot, which will be good. But even initially, like, I think it's been pretty fun and really interesting. And I like a lot of the story and the lore and the narrative scenes and stuff that happen.
Sweet. How about you, Nick?
Interesting. For me, so my favorite game is Civ 6. I have 3 times as much playtime than I do in Civ 5. Civ 6, I really like the golden and dark age mechanic.
Yeah.
Because it put a target in your back. It put a target in the back for the CPUs, and especially in multiplayer. There was like those objectives where it's like the game would give objectives to your opponents to affect you negatively, and to try to sabotage your next golden age. And then the other thing that they did was like golden age always was harder to get the next time. Like, you couldn't just spam golden age every time. The spy system for Civ 6 was really in depth with like the stealing of technology and the movement and the detection abilities and things like that. And then lastly, the super/great/unique unit system. I don't know if you guys remember this, but you could get like a great scholar or a great engineer or a great religious leader. And they would have a thing that you could use, like an ability that you could use to boost like production, or instantly finish building a religious building. and it would be like once you use it, that person disappeared. Sometimes they were like individual people from history, like Nikola Tesla or something, but sometimes they were also the generic people that you were like, oh, okay. But yeah, those systems I really liked, and that's what really drew me into 6 more than 5. Then we just had more people to play with.
Especially the spy system, though, dude. Like, you're totally right. That was so fun to play around with. And like, I know someone who that's his strategy when he plays Civ. He's like, I play the French and I use spies. that is what I do. Yeah. He has one trick.
It's truly one of the things in a lot of games that's hard to get right. But when you can just outright steal people's progress, it's so aggravating to play against.
Yeah.
But I think you're one of the only people that has anything about Alpha Centauri that you like. So please, tell us about it.
Okay, cool. For what I like about past Civs, so a lot, it's too much, but to nail it down, Alpha Centauri, when I played that, 3 or 4 weeks ago, the story mode and the weirdness of the game, I totally love. And I would love like a custom Civ 7 mode that maybe has a more curtailed, maybe it focuses on the Bronze Age or something, and it's weird and it's a bit mysterious, because I think the mystery or mysteriousness is like missing from my experience playing with this game, like when I go to a great wonder or when I discover someone's civilization for the first time, I pretty much know what to expect. And there's no like, oh shit, that caught me off guard moments that Alpha Centauri just was basically based on. So that's what I like about that game. For Civ 5, I love playing Tall with Venice. I thought it was so cool. They released a Civ that could only have one city to start and no settlers. And you only gain extra cities by sending a merchant of Venice to one of the NPC cities and converting that into one of your own cities. And then the only way you get a merchant of Venice is gold production in Venice. So it was all based around gold. I found it super satisfying to play that way. Yeah. And then for Civ 5, I don't know, I put this story. I put it was like turn 40 in a multiplayer game, and I got capped, and my game ended. And I had played so much Civ, but I had never been capped before. I had never truly lost the game. So right off the bat. And I didn't know that losing your capital meant that you instantly lost the game. I was so surprised. It's like, thanks for playing multiplayer lobby screen. I was like, wait, what? That's it? I have 7 other cities, bro. Are you kidding? Yeah. So, okay, cool. Now the GOAT. Civilization 7, my friends, we are here.
The GOAT.
We're here. So me and Amanda played together. Me and Amanda played with Taylor, and then Nick had some single player time on his own this week. So I guess starting out, the music. I mean, fuck the music.
It's
Amanda.
Pretty good.
The music. Oh my God. Okay, so just for starters, the title is amazing. You're going to hear it at the bottom of the show. So get ready, get excited.
Can we do our best, just with our voices right now? 3, 2, 1. Hee hoo, hee hoo. I love it. All right,
I can't do any of the high notes. My throat hurts.
Oh no.
So I feel like I gotta really talk about the commitment to the music in this game, though. That's what has me super impressed, because in this game you go through 3 different ages. There's essentially let me pull up.
I call it the Dirt Age.
It's basically the Dirt Age. And
it's like Howie pottery.
Yeah, they have the antiquity age. So it's antique, it's old as shit. It's like the Paleolithic version of all of these civilizations. And you play through that, and then it goes into the next age, because it's time based on your turns and I think your progress as well. But then you go through exploration, where you're supposed to be expanding. And then it ends up going into the modern age after that. And what's so cool to me and funny is that you have one leader, but the civilizations that you play in each age are different, yet they are built off of the backs of the previous civilization in that previous age when you play through the whole single player, which is very fun. Because, for example, when I played, I was playing Friedrich of Prussia, and
Friedrich.
And my civilization though was Maya and the Mayans. And so I'm sitting there hearing like Mesoamerican like music, like tribal music, like Mayan music. And it's so funny. And then the second what did you say, Nick?
I'm like just pan flutes and bongos and shit like
yes, and the whole time you're playing, it's that music, right? Then you go into the next era, and I was Spain. I chose Spain, and they straight up are playing music with like castanets and everything, and I'm like, oh, and it's like way more upbeat and like exciting, and it's just like you feel like you want to expand and explore, and it's great. And then for the modern age, I went with essentially the fucking Germans. It was Prussia, and so it was a full circle moment, but it was all like, you know, it was very Deutsch feeling.
Dark trance from Berlin. People are in like leather straps working in your cities. The great Prussian leader Friedrich rules us all with Amanda.
He has a
like,
strap on.
Yeah, give me my bombers in Madrid. So, like, and the buildings still kind of look a little Mayan. It's wild. And so I love that. But the commitment to the music was really, really fantastic. And it's like such a nice touch because it's still the same level of quality as like the title, but it actually reflects the civilization that you're playing, which I think is just so awesome. The first time I played it, I played the Shawnees and in the Mesopotamians or Mississippians, whatever, Mississippi. And even that there was a lot of really amazing sounding like chanting, and it was so fucking cool. I was like, this is like really nice. I like that detail a lot. And it makes me want to replay and play every single civilization almost just for the music alone. But I think it'd be fun to play it for all the other reasons too, which is that every civilization obviously has their own perks or whatever way you want to play with them, right? But I do like that it all ties in and there's all these details to really kind of immerse you in the civilization you're playing during that era, because it isn't just, like I said, during the exploration phase, the music is very uplifting and very exciting. Like it's a different track than obviously the civilization. And I felt like the Antiquity age, a lot of the music that I played, because I've played a few different civilizations in that age, and it all felt very like, I don't know, calming maybe, or like just kind of, it felt a lot more relaxing than the exploration era.
Yeah.
And I felt like it all just kept amping
for sure.
up. Mm-hmm.
Everyone's like discovering flowers and animals. And then the next stage is like, we've discovered fucking bayonets on guns.
Yeah.
Start stabbing people.
It's such a good note. I didn't even notice that. I completely didn't notice that, but it makes complete sense. Awesome. Cool.
What do you call it? For me, I ended up playing Trung Trác, which is a Vietnamese leader from history. A little bit of background for her. In 40 CE, she fought back against the Han Dynasty to take over parts of Vietnam, which China was overtaking and managing at the time. Her and her sister fought back the Han Chinese for 3 years, and then she was deposed with her sister after I believe she killed herself in a river, and then her sister was captured and executed. However, in the game, her abilities as far as a leader is that you get scientific bonus as well as militaristic bonus, which is really nice, by the way, that the game now tells you the specific strategies for specific leaders.
Like outright.
It's like, just straight, like monetary, diplomatic, scientific. You're like,
in
all right,
plain
this
English.
is cool. Like,
yeah.
Just,
you don't have to add up all the unique buildings and shit. You'd be like, fuck, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, you used to have to look up strats. Like you have to play China for bonus to production, and then you have to play like you have to use this religion for this level of
totally.
happiness. And you're like, whoa, like this is too
get
too
the
intense
red
here.
string strategy document out.
Yeah. This one's a little bit more simple as far as them telling it in plain English. The game was a little too easy for me. I should have known to not play on the suggested difficulty, which is governor. I ended up then starting a new game after about an hour and a half with Tecumseh on Viceroy. Boy, howdy, is it a fucking difference. But it's nice. Like the first game, I didn't lose a single unit. So yeah, it's been interesting. What about you, Sniper?
I don't have anything for starting out because nothing in the first steps of the game, I guess nothing really stood out to me that's different from other Civs. What I found comforting was that, it felt like I was home, like I was walking into some familiar place. I was like, yes, this is Civs, like they changed it, but it still felt like literally in my heart, I was like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing here. It doesn't matter where I put my first city down. I see the resources on the map. I know what I'm going to do. Plans are already starting to form in my head, so yeah, nothing in specific, but I did play pretty tall. And I played tall. Man. I played tall both times because I don't think I didn't really understood what do towns do for me other than cost a lot of gold to turn into cities. Like I didn't understand that it's important to build out these towns and specialize them so they all feed into your main city. So both times I played, I had a city that was the biggest that I could see on the map. But I now realize going into the further ages, that isn't going to work out for me. Like that's going to bite me in the ass pretty quick. So yeah, tall until I die, I guess. I don't know. I played Venice in Civ 5 too. That was my shit. That's another tall strategy. So, but Amanda, you played different. You played, yeah.
Oh, I play fucking wide. I always go wide. When I was in playing Civ 5 and even Civ 6, like I always wanted to go the religion route, which is also spreading as far as you can. Just in a different way. But like, so with this Civ, I'm glad that you brought that up. Like they really do kind of emphasize the importance of towns in this Civ, where you want to have different towns and you want them to specialize so that way they can be sending things your way and utilizing tiles for science and culture and stuff like that. So you want to be really cognizant of kind of what you're having your towns specialize in and if they are serving your cities like you want them to. But yeah, the playthrough that I just did where I made it all the way to the end, starting from antiquity to modern with Frederick is I just spread out. I tried to have like one main city kind of on each peninsula and then just take over a shitload of towns. I think I had 24 towns by the time I ended, which was chaos and caused the game camera to bug and was like a cancer because it was just rapid fire all the way across the map. And I had to hit escape and then hit escape again to reset it so that way the camera just wouldn't stop spazzing out. Because if you keep following the notifications, it's like jumping all over the map. And with about like 24 towns and cities, there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
Especially when Mama's got to make some bombers to go flying. And so
I got to go visit my 13th city to the north. Let me go take this B-52 bomber.
Dude, 24 cities. That's fucking crazy. I think
I
want to mention our multiplayer game just really briefly because Nic unfortunately couldn't make it because of the sickness. But what's cool about Civ 7 is they have a join code that you can join a game in progress, even if you never joined from the beginning. So we want to keep this game going, and we wanted to invite people to kind of join into the Civ that maybe best suits them, because I just think that's a really neat feature. Like Nic couldn't make it, but theoretically in the future he could just join into any Civ and probably have a blast, because honestly, I put the AI at a higher difficulty, and there's AIs doing way better than me and Amanda. And I want Amanda and Nic to face off because I feel like you guys play kind of the same way. It sounds like really expansionist, military, focusing on production.
A lot of issues in my friend group, by the way. It's really
I will
bad.
end you if you join in playing Caesar, dude. We were all aiming for Caesar. Like everybody, I think, was in an alliance to get rid of Augustus asshole Caesar.
By the end of the antiquity age, we were kicking Caesar in the head. Like the AI smelled blood in the water. It was taking over Caesar. Me and Amanda were taking over Caesar. Went from the top to the bottom, and hopefully never to rise again. Bury that bitch. But I guess that takes us to war and combat. Or I just wrote here, Amanda's a warmonger in capitals. She was like, hey Christian, let's attack this AI. I was like, okay, that's cool. And then she's like, hey, let's can we do that one too? And I was like, whoa, we're already in a war. Let's maybe. And she's like, actually, this other one over there, this other town, I think I'm going to take that. I was like, Jesus.
Oh,
Being
yeah.
allied to you is like playing whack-a-mole with the AI, bro.
Well, here's my thing though. It's chaos, right? But it has an overall arc and plan. Like, especially as I've like kind of hashed it out in some of my other games too. I want to take a bunch of different units that specialize in different things, right? Like some have a much further range and work out better like that. Like the heavy archers come to mind, and so does like the cannonballs, and like depending on what you're playing. But like, you know, you have that, and then you also attack them naval. So you can pinch them with both of those two, and then you can get the units that are really good with flanking, both naval and on land, and then just sweep house, and you just kind of rotate up and you just take over a bunch. And so like I land grab for sure, and it's fun. That's why the end of my solo one, I took over majority of the map. Yeah, and it's hilarious to me because once I get going on a roll, it's like, Benjamin Franklin, you gone. Like, Caesar, you gone.
Goodbye.
So, bye. But I love it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
That's fun. I think I need to build more forts on our border, though. I'm a little worried. Sorry, Nick, go.
No, I was gonna. So, like, what I was gonna say is that, like, for example, the fort system in the old one, you used to have a great general to develop a fort past a certain style. It's so nice now that it's just available. The new combat system, like with the whole like packing up and deploying and all that kind of stuff, feels way more like a combat game instead of just like a board game where you just kind of roll dice a smidge. Mm-hmm. And like the now like the bonuses for flanking and all that other stuff, and like all that shit is actually nice to see, because let's be honest here, most people that are playing this game for the first time, they unga, therefore they bunga, and they will just go war. Like every time, they won't go for a scientific victory. They usually won't go for a religious victory, and they needed to make that a little bit more in depth, in my opinion, throughout the years. So
the ability to pack up your armies is such a good point, but the really cool part is the specialization that the commanders now have with the 4 different trees. I felt like I was playing a really simple version of like Mech Warrior, honestly, or not Mech Warrior, but the turn-based one that for some reason the name is fucking eluding me. But I was specializing like I would specialize my pilots in that game to do a very specific job. I want them to run cities. I want them to be good at melee combat. I want them to be good at defense, or I want them to be, did I mention all of them? No, something else. Anyways, and by the end of when I was playing the multiplayer game with Amanda, I did have 4 generals, and I was starting to spec everything, and I was kind of starting to see my future plans of, you know, how these generals were going to be with me forever. And like, I just got attached to them as units, and that has never happened before in a Civ game. Like, I throw that a unit, never heard of them. Those die all the time, no matter what kind of XP they are. If they're not fighting, they are a liability because they're sucking gold out of my.
Well, I mean, you're investing in them, and then additionally too, like it does play into their tactics. Like one of the commanders that I had, I really put a bunch into his skill tree to make him maneuver over all kinds of like terrain and really start kicking back production and money towards myself with unpacking, because he was kind of my, you know, getaway car, so to say, with my army. So I would pack in infantrymen and cannonball shooting dudes on Friedrich, and then I'd take him, put him in the cavalry with the commander who had all this maneuvering thing. We'd go across volcanoes and pinch people in 2 mountains,
Hannibal.
And then would pick up people, swoop around, and then flank them from behind, and have infantrymen in the front, and then like more of the cannonballs in the back, and just pummel them in between 2 mountains. And yeah, they just boom, gone. Bye, Ben Franklin. So, but you can do that. And like one of the commanders that I've always loved specializing in, obviously being way more of a warmonger and shit, is like the assault part of it. So you can get increased combat bonuses to range or to infantry, or if you accumulate enough military points, then you can go into and enough promotions, obviously, then you can just go into both. And they really have like the commendations that are at the bottom below that, where then you can get even more bonuses on top of it. Right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's kind of like the perks that they earn for like doing certain things, right? Where like you can choose their bonuses or something like that. I'm trying to remember what they do.
It's deep in a way that it's never been before, and I feel like it's so satisfying to have that in a Civ game. Honestly, like it's so cool.
It is.
Yeah. Well, the town city system, I guess we have written next. We kind of touched on this a bit, but yeah, Amanda, what's going on?
Oh, well, like I said, I just kind of really love that you can specialize in that. You know, you can drop down a town and then go wide to take resources from other like members and other people you're going against quickly, but then build up. Like there was a thing of kind of like a leapfrog method. You kind of like follow the larger resources you can get, like whether they're camels or whales, because these different resources will give you perks in your towns and your cities. And so it's really good to try and have a whole bunch of them and try and specialize that. Like if you want this town to be more of a port town where you collect all the different fish and whales and things like that. So that way then you can send that back to your city. Those things really help, especially establishing like trade routes too. And so, I don't know. I just really love how in depth they've gone with that kind of system and how well it can really build up and allow you to strategize on an even larger scale too, since the things that you're conquering and taking over can feed right back into the cities that you're building and things. So, I mean, I just think that it's so cool how, I mean, I learned today about like really how deep it can go with specializing your towns, watching a video, and I like had a concept of it, but I didn't realize like truly how far it went. And so I just think that's so cool, especially right off the jump and technically a pre-release. Like that is something that they did well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know if I'm going to be oversharing here on how I do my cities and towns, right? In the past, I do something, it's like an actual like historical thing when it comes to like expanding and things like that. It's called the star method, where you...
I'm taking notes.
Tell me about this, warmonger Nicholas. So what it is you have a very strong main city, and then you put out 2 prongs of smaller cities. And if you can, before you start expanding from another direction, you built a 3rd city. And so if one of those cities becomes overrun, you can support them with the other 2, right? And you always have the units coming from the central city, and you start to make a star pattern like a star fort, not like a star like a 5-pointed star, but you make like a star fort system so that if one prong falls, the other 2 can fall on top of it.
Got it. Understood. Yep.
And it's very, very effective in games like this. Especially when you have units that can claim tiles, or you can just outright buy tiles. You're like, oh, look at that, it's a fancy star now. And then people are like, God damn it.
Fucking Nick's warmongering star in the middle of the continent. He's like, we thought he was the Polynesians and he would suck. Nah, he's there making the star, dude.
No, he's making the star in the ocean this time, man. I don't do it every time because it gets boring to be repetitive, but it is one of the most effective ways to wage war in this game, I will say.
Cool.
Let's talk about what we do like, though, because it seems like we've said a lot of good things, but I think there's a couple more things we want to mention that's on the list.
Yeah. Well, Amanda has a point here, and I'm just gonna say citation needed, because we were playing multiplayer, and you know, she's having a good time, but she's getting a little spicy. She's cursing these tornadoes and typhoons, and she's like, fuck. Like, she's actually yelling. She's like, fuck. She's like, fuck.
Okay, that hurricane was huge, dude.
Dude, it was so big. It was like 7 tiles large. I couldn't believe it. It was so massive. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, you like the weather, allegedly?
I do. I really, really like a lot of the story that's just in this game that they've added in the story elements, right? So like from the weather events, kind of throwing a loop into things because it'll cost gold for you to repair stuff. Sometimes tornadoes come through and kill the units of your enemies. Love that so much. And so, but I think that it's like a really cool, neat like addition of the depth detail in like how it looks. Like it's a whole event. I mean, it pops up on your screen. There's like a little cinematic thing of a volcano erupting. Sometimes though, like with the typhoons and like I think like the hurricanes, I don't remember it being that cinematic for that, but definitely when volcanoes erupt, it's pretty fun and a pretty cool experience. Not fun when you have a town that is right next to the volcano, because then you need to fix it. But I like that they've added that into the game, because I do think that it's cool and it adds like some really interesting variety, and like it throws a wrench and comes for us all. All those kind of events are random as it is, so it's just like it's neat, and I like that they added that. And then as you start getting kind of big or going through war and spending a lot of time unhappy, but especially going through war or in a time of crisis, they have an entire like crisis storyline of whatever you're dealing with, like going through, and you have to make these decisions and these kind of penalties. Like you might miss, it might be -1 gold to every city that you have that isn't happy with the religion that they're in. Like I've seen like a huge variety of it, and nothing seems to be really repeating, which I think is super cool and just a really nice added event. I did play a solo run where I was Jose Rizal, and his whole thing is giving you a whole bunch of influence and money and production every time you go through narrative choices and narrative events. And so there was all this story unfolding that was just like super fun to read and experience. And I was pretty good at building him up, especially culturally and scientifically, because of all of the kickbacks that I kept getting by just diving into the story, which was super fun. So I think that they've done such a cool job with that. And I just think the weather events are random as shit, but they're fun.
Yeah, so weather was in Civ 6, Nick, and maybe because I'm definitely not an expert, did you notice, are they doing anything new or different from Civ 6 to Civ 7?
To be honest, I haven't noticed too much of a difference. Well, what kind of happened in like Civ 6 was that there was like a big alert, but they're doing that as well. Obviously, the effects on your units and everything is the same, but I haven't noticed a big difference. To be honest, it's been a while since I played Civ 6, so I can't remember the Civ 6 system too much. Right. I do remember having cities completely leveled from events and things like that.
Yeah.
And then regretting building near the coast, just making Miami and then just watching it disappear into the ocean.
2050, it's coming. Careful.
Yeah. But what I will say, and I kind of mentioned this at the top of the show, like as far as things that I liked, is the new civilization system where you choose a leader, then you choose a base system. And then what's also interesting is that, I don't know if you guys noticed this during the leader selection screen, it tells you the special civilization that they can be during a certain age. And so, for example, Tecumseh can be America or Mexico once you hit the modern age.
Oh, okay.
It's very, very, very interesting. And so there's benefits for choosing either one.
I had something happen to me in antiquity when I placed my cities in a way, and it said, oh, you've unlocked this possible civilization because you've put 3 or 3 cities on navigable rivers. And I thought that is so neat that, one of the complaints, or not one of the complaints, but one of the, I guess the pre-criticisms before this game came out is people being like, well, it makes no sense. You're just going to switch civs willy-nilly and you're going to be able to do whatever and whoever. And it's like, to some extent that's true, but they've also like curated it a bit where you unlock things and it matches the flavor of what you're doing rather than locking you into what you started with. So
it's very cool. It's very organic. What it is like, it's not like, yes, I am now science and I was once religion.
Yeah.
Look at me now. Like it's very much not like you get to switch completely your civilization and your play style on the drop of a hat. Really, you're unlocking what is complementary to what you're already doing. Now, can you switch based off of what objectives you're trying to pull off? Sure. Should you? Probably not. But all the sweaties will figure it out once the game comes out completely, and they'll be like, you need to play this and then switch to this and then do this. And you're like, oh my God. You're telling me I got to have a river tile by turn 13 and
or you're
this
fucked.
Far away from my main city. I'm like, and you can't win against the CPU like that. Like, it's it's one thing I don't like about Civ is I always try not to look up things when I play Civ.
Totally. Because it's like a perfect sandbox, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's all I had was the main thing that I liked was the civilization system where it's like you get to choose and it modifies and it changes. So
one more thing on the Civ system I like is when you pick a leader, it like shows up what historically inspired them. So I picked Marquis de Lafayette, and it was like he was inspired by the Greeks, and I was like, oh, that is really cool. Like they are trying to give me they are trying to give historical nerds like me a little bit of a tie-in, so it's not like such an abrupt change from someone who was born in like the 18th century running antiquity Greece. It's like you said, Nick, like it's more of like an organic path that they're encouraging you to go through. And I just thought that was awesome, and thanks for doing that for Rex.
Yeah, actually. And honestly, I think if I could just put one word to this Civ 7, it probably is just organic. Like that is such a great way to describe it and how it's different, and like it feels like that. I love to the growth of going through. It makes me want to play more. It makes me want to play like all these different combinations to see how they grow and change, and even repeat the same ones because I know that it will probably grow and change into something different. And that is just so incredibly cool to me. And part of that is unlocking the civilizations, is unlocking different things. We didn't even go over that when you're in a leader and as you keep playing, you will accumulate these mementos, which kind of give you these little bit of buffs. Like one of my favorites is there's one that I have where it gives +3 to tiles to view instead of +1 for your scouts. So you can start the game with the ability to see even further just off of this memento. So there's all these things to unlock with that just in the leader. Which is so cool.
So Age of Empires 3 multiplayer had a really interesting system where the more you played a faction, you would unlock this like grand tech tree, and then you would get these orders that you would order from like you were playing as New France. So France would send you like 12 musketeers or whatever, but you would only unlock that ability if you had played and won a certain amount of games and you had chosen that in your tech tree. And there's like an echo of that in this Civ with these mementos where you leveling up a leader. I don't know. It's cool, but I also feel like people won't like that because in a multiplayer game, you're going to be up against like level 99.
I have a level 17 Benjamin Franklin while you have a level 2 Tecumseh. You share no chance against me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but a cool addition, I think. So, sorry, was there anything else, Amanda?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I can't remember if this was in so much of Civ 6, but I felt like the river traveling is, like, kind of busted, actually, because I took...
No, it's realistic.
I took, like, I took, like, an army of, like, 8 ships, 2 of them being, like, big destroyers, and we just went riding on up Little River all the way to Washington, D.C. and absolutely fucked up Benjamin Franklin, who was not expecting an entire fleet the size of an army to go up what was the equivalent of like the Detroit River.
Knock, knock, motherfucker.
Knock, knock. Yeah.
Oh man, he was very surprised and he went down like a sack of potatoes because it was like boom, right from the river.
On the navigable rivers, they cost a full movement to cross, no matter how much movement points you have.
Yes. Yeah.
And I noticed when I was building out my metropolis of Athens in our multiplayer game that I could build these beautiful bridges. They cost like, I don't know. I had a bunch of production. I was producing military units in like 1 or 2 turns, but they took like 7 or 8 turns to complete. They gave 5 bonus gold plus 5 adjacency bonus to every adjacent tile. So they were awesome. And when I looked at them on the map, they were like Paris, like they were awesome looking bridges. Like they were like historical bridges. And I was like, that's so fucking cool. And then my units crossed it, obviously just a normal, 1 movement point per tile, like usual. But I don't know, just the details is so cool, but we could spend forever on the details. Good. I think there are some things we don't like. And also this game is currently in mixed reviews, or it was last time I looked on Steam. A lot of the criticisms are on the UI and the lack of options for map types and map sizes. Some comments on bugginess, some comments on lack of civilizations. I was surprised to see mixed reviews because I bought the game, I played the game, I said, this is pretty awesome. And then I went to the Steam page and I went, well, people hate this game. Or maybe hate is probably the wrong word, but it's at least contentious to fans of Civ. So anyways, there might be things we don't like. Amanda, what do you got?
In a way, I kind of feel like these are so minor in compared to it. Overall, I'd have to say I love this game. So the problems I have are ones that I am hopeful will be fixed easily or fixed in the near future. Like the bugginess. I kind of touched point earlier about how funny it was and annoying that in the last like 20 turns of playing in the modern era with like 24 cities and towns, the game camera just was like, it's almost like as if you had like your arrow key jammed and like it's just constantly going left and I can't
Blair
get
Witch
it to
Project.
stop.
It's the fucking video camera.
Or the busted Joy-Cons on Switch, and it's just you can't get it to stop. Like that's what I thought, and then it almost made me at first make me think like, oh my god, is my keyboard dying? Like, and then I hit escape, and it paused and stopped, and then when I got out of the settings menu, like it was totally fine, and I had to do that every time I wanted to do something for the last 10 turns. Yeah. But I mean, you know, it's like, I'm finally seeing a bug after about 15 hours of playing, and it hasn't been that bad. Like, or I haven't really noticed it. There's some funny like nav meshing issues where you're just like, dude, why can't you cross that way? Like, there's not a mountain or anything. Like, and it's like, nope, I've got to go all the way around the map and then to that point instead of just going two tiles directly in front of them with nothing in the way.
Finding stuff, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so like that's a weird one, you know, but I feel like I can understand that, and that's all right. And it's also not officially released yet, so these little bugs to me aren't so game breaking, even if they are quite annoying. And then the other one, I mean, was really our user error not understanding what it meant with like the fast turning, and because when we played on our multiplayer, like you had mentioned, it felt like a real time strategy to me. That's why I miscalled it that.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's like we had no time to think. You almost only had time to be a warmonger and just like fly at the seat of your pants and be like, I'm going to take out everything.
Yeah. So we used dynamic turn option in the settings, and it said it scaled off the amount of cities and technology and units that the player with the most of that had. So in theory, the turns would only take as long as the biggest player, which I thought, oh, perfect. It just automatically configures that and we'll be good. I had no problem in the first like 50 turns or whatever. But yeah, after that, I was like, holy shit. I'm like clicking a million. I have one city, folks. Like I'm still clicking. I had like 30 military units, but yeah, it was crazy. These story events pop up. Like there are things that you need to take time and read. And then we were playing with poor Taylor. It was his first time playing Civ 7, and he was trying to learn the mechanics, and the game was like, we're going to start you off on 30-second turns, and we'll go from there, dog.
Yeah, it's so quick.
Yeah. So we got through it fast, and I think with a bunch of experts, but yeah, if you're not an expert in this game, you can't use dynamic turn timers, I don't think. What do you got, Nick?
I just super quick, I'll be really quick about this. I just had 2 crashes, literally one in each game, about 30 minutes into each game. It wasn't a big problem. I think the reason why people are so... Every time a Civ comes out, this happens. They're like, it doesn't have enough civilizations. It doesn't have enough of this or that. What it is that they base everything off the last fucking game, and they want everything from the last fucking game to be in this one, and that's not how it works, right? You either wait 10 years or you wait 3 years, and you get to decide, right? In reality, so what Firaxis does is they put it out every 3 years instead of every fucking 10, and then they kind of branch off of what people are playing, what people are interested in, and they start putting things in DLC. That's how every RTS game is now. Every Warhammer RTS game has DLC. Like the fucking Iron game that you guys played on the game day the other time.
Iron Harvest, yeah.
Iron Harvest, same thing. They introduce a bunch of mechanics and a bunch of races with DLC. It's just part of the RTS genre. The only main gripe that I have is there's no auto explore for scouts.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy, by the way. Yeah.
Annoying as shit. Agree. I'm like, bro, just run to this corner, dude. I don't care what you do. Go.
Yeah.
Like, just get out of here.
Find shit. Just find shit and get the fuck out of here.
Go.
Tell me when you find gold, okay? Yeah. That's what I care. All right.
Report back. Yeah. Yeah, that's so weird. And it was annoying because on our 30-second turn timers, I started the game with 4 scouts. It's just what I do. I want to find the special
You're supposed to.
Before anyone else does to get those bonuses. And so I'm like frantically clicking like on 4 corners of the map. I'm like, bro, I don't have enough time for this. Yeah. I was going to say something else. about what you said, or trying to riff off that, Nick, but I forgot. Okay. I think overall, is it fair to say us three, we love this game? Like, we think it's special?
Yeah, I'd definitely say, I wouldn't say I love it. I'm not going to say I love something until I at least have a couple dates with it.
Right. Yeah.
And if once I hit 10 hours, I'll tell you if I love it.
Okay.
I would say it got a first good impression on me. You know what I'm saying? It paid for dinner.
Yeah, it paid for dinner. Yeah, it brought roses to the date. It opened the car door.
It wasn't afraid to order the cheese stuffed giant shells, you know.
Oh, that is green flag
material.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say. It's funny what jogs a memory. But Firaxis's development goals for all the Civ games is keep 1/3 of things the same, change 1/3 of things, and introduce new mechanics for 1/3 of the game. And I feel like they nailed it. If that's their vision and that's what they're going for, nailed. Fucking 100%. They got it. Yeah.
100%.
So yeah, fucking. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Amanda.
I mean, I was just gonna say, like, 15 hours in, the game told me it loved me with all the castanets, and I love it back. Yeah, love this game.
Okay, cool. We're going to go to listener questions. So I asked in the Discord specifically, hey, you got any Civ questions? That's what this episode's going to be about. So if you asked a non-Civ question, I didn't put it into this episode, but don't worry, we'll get to it. You know, we're good. We're good for it. And Nick, if you would not mind reading these out.
So this is from some old random drunk. His name's Emilio. He goes, what's everyone's EDC? I'm guessing he means Electric Daisy Carnival, which is a festival that people... Isn't that what it is? I can't remember.
That's actually literally the first thing I thought of when I read that too, Nick. Yes.
I thought this was the
I don't know if there's another. I don't know if there's another EDC. Like I don't fucking know, man. Anyways, is that what he's talking about? Like he doesn't elaborate like a normal human being. He's just like, what's everyone's favorite acronym that this could possibly be?
I think
you know what?
I thought it was a Civ question. Yeah.
So. What, Nick, I'm so happy that you brought that up because the first when I got into the show notes, I like saw that question and I was like, yeah, what the fuck is EDC? That's a music festival. So I looked it up. Anybody that doesn't know, it's the estimated development cost. So how much is your civilization worth, essentially? Is that right?
Crickets.
I feel like that's right.
I honestly think you got to go with the simplest answer for Emilio. It's like it's what we call it's called like military terms. It's like the simplest answers for the simplest solution. I think honestly, he's like what he's asking is like, what's our favorite thing to, what's our favorite thing to go to or do? I guess outside of gaming. I don't think he really does mean like the cost of something.
Yeah.
For me, it'd be like a Magic Con. Like if I could go to those, I'd definitely go. But I have a small child and I'm in the middle of moving again. So like I can't do anything until I get a job and things like that. So
I thought it was
this is everyone's question.
Eat dick Civ. I thought it was. I just went with what would Emilio ask? That's silly and a little bit stupid. And I thought it meant what's the Civ you would never play or the civilization you would never play in this game.
Oh, probably something that relies on religion and diplomacy. I'm like, no, that's boring. I don't want that. That's not fun.
So I respect the spy system in Civ 6, but I'll be fucked if I have any time between doing what else I'm doing to use the spy system effectively. So I would never play the French because that is what they spec in.
You know what? I just have a quick interjection, just super quick. You know what I wonder is if they have the same system in Civ 6 that you could do in Civ 7, where the turn timer would not start until all the human players ended their turn, and the last human player to end their turn is the person that has a turn timer start. So if it's me and Amanda end our turns, and there's a 30-second turn timer, then the 30 seconds start as soon as me and Amanda both end our turns.
Oh, that would be so much better, dude. That would be so much better.
That's what they did in 6. That was an option.
That was awesome. That would be awesome because it would scale with what is actually happening in the game. Like
exactly. You have enough time to do everything, but you also don't have people just like going to take a piss and taking forever, you know?
Yeah.
Very true.
But yeah, that's all. Sorry to interrupt.
Do you have an eat dick Civ days?
Yeah, I feel like any Civ that's going to be so focused on either just culture or diplomacy and like politics. If it's the spy shit, I'm down for that though. Like I think that would be kind of fun and like the sabotage. I do think that's fun. I have been sabotaging some other leaders because I'm just like, you won't know. What is that? A reveal chance of 20%? I like those odds. I'll take that.
I'm a gambling man.
So a lot of them I'm really genuinely looking forward to like trying to really dive down the rabbit hole for each style, but I feel like culture isn't exactly my way to go, or pure diplomacy. I like some of the diplomacy, like it definitely helps to make alliances and kind of interact with the other leaders in ways, but not to the extent I think that like having that as being my tactic or my style.
Got it.
Yeah.
Fair.
I'll read the next one. Warconiest Re 4X games have gotten you have Jesus Christ. My brain just fucking brain farted. That's the flu that's talking. 4X games. Have any of you played Masters of Orion 2, aka Mu 2? Alpha Centauri is great, but Mu 2 is the granddaddy of 4X. It's really amazing with the amount of customization, design your own ships to use in battle. I have not played it. I know like space unless it involves space fascism, aka Warhammer 40k, and then even then I don't like that space. I like Orc Unga Bunga.
He like an Unga Bunga.
I've never played Mutu. Yeah, I do. It's fun. It's the orcs with the Cockney accents, and then the opposite of Necrons. I like it. It's fun.
And Warconius, I've never played Mu 2, but Alpha Centauri did have the design your own units in battle, like even your basic like soldier units. You could design the gun they had, the chassis, the shield type. You could get really in depth of unit customization, and I kind of missed that in Civ. I completely forgot to put that under what I liked for Alpha Centauri earlier in the show. I don't know if I have Masters of Orion 2 in me and Alpha Centauri in the same year to check out, because it's a little difficult. These old games, you know, you love them, but they're just not the same as they once were, and they require a little bit of finagling to make work. So yeah, that's my answer.
Amanda,
also
anything
never
with
played.
Mu 2?
No, I've never played it.
Sorry, Warconius, no Mu 2 for us. Hopefully Mu 3 is the next step, right? Last question, also by Warconius. Only hard-hitting questions, man. Your favorite cheese and why? Under the threat of death to you and your loved ones, which one do you pick, Cheeseburg or charcuterie? So it's a double-ended question. I have an answer for this immediately. It's Jarlsberg for the cheese and charcuterie for the selection. Reason being is that charcuterie, you do get the sweet, the salty, and the everything else. Cheese board for me is just constipation, and I'm also lactose intolerant. So if it's a high lactose shit, my shit's gonna be insane. Like I don't want to do that.
Dude, you're constipated, and it's a laxative free. It's like that's a horrible double whammy, because you know that pressure is building up, and when that shit blows,
it's farting, dude.
Bro,
I'm ripping ass at the party.
The NASA
no
lift
one
off.
wants to be around me.
Check this guy out in Florida.
Yeah. What about you guys?
All cheese makes me shit. Horribly. Like very small amounts of dairy do bad things to me, so I try to stay away from all dairy. But you know, if no one else is in my home, and if I know I have access to a bathroom, the only cheese that will make me risk it for the biscuit, risk it for the shit skit, is brie. I fucking love a baked brie, and I guess it's a cheese board or a charcuterie, because I put a bunch of crackers and I dip it in the brie. And I bathe in the brie. My mouth bathes in the brie. And then I do what I got to do later to get that out of me. You know, my body says, nope, don't like that. But
then he pays for the brie.
I pay for the brie. Yeah. So brie cheese. Yeah. Amanda.
Brie cheese is pretty good. I like cheese a lot. I come from the land near the cheese, because the cheese is Wisconsin, but Michigan's like, oh, hey there, buddy, you want to send some of that over, and we'll send over our beer and our maple syrup. But I really like goat cheese, because I can put it in a lot of things, and it's really good on a lot of things.
Yeah.
So that one's definitely my favorite, and I charcuterie all day. I mean, with the charcuterie board, you're already getting the cheese. You can have a cheese board in a charcuterie board, but you can't have a charcuterie in a cheese board. So it's Gotta be charcuterie, because then you get the best of both worlds, kind of. But at least you get a nice diversity, because at the end of the day, we're all old, and to some point, we can't have too much cheese. I think a whole cheese board would knock all three of us out. So.
Oh yeah,
that's how you assassinate DLG. You just send us a nice cheese board.
Yes, send us cheese, bro. This whole
I
house.
guarantee you, Emilio's stomach's not gonna last, and Bobby won't go near anything that's organic. So.
You're going to watch DLG turn into a Civ game and we're all having our respective little cities in the corner and we're just building up because we can't go wide. We'll just gas each other out.
Dude, cheese knocks out my micro civilization within me. My microbiome is literally ejected from my body at breakneck speeds, bro.
Like, let's restart this shit. You put poison in this again.
Yeah, they don't like it, and I don't either. Okay, cool. Amanda, end the show and tell us what we're listening to.
All right, we're going to be listening to the glory, the magic, the beauty, the detail that is in the Civ 7 title theme. Oh, and some antiquity era titties.
Bye, everyone. So
Perfect.
good. Fucking awesome.